hard to believe. Tomorrow's our last practice of the week. I think for us, quick turnaround. I got over here Sunday and watched the video from Temple, and then moved on, had another meeting watching the video from Tulsa and getting the lift in, and then had our typical Monday practice yesterday, and today was a combination of our Tuesday, Wednesday practice. Huge challenge this weekend. Very impressed with Tulsa when you turn on the tape. I think Coach Montgomery and his staff have done an excellent job of recruiting and developing their talent. What stands out to me is just how big, and really for our whole league. I was telling somebody the other day, I'm just so impressed with everybody that we play, with the size. I think that gives me a lot of optimism of being able to add to our depth and our roster, the type of players that we can truly get in this league. I think on the defensive line, they average 300 pounds across the board, and linebackers are huge. Three guys average 240 pounds. And then secondary, they got 4 guys, 2 corners, 2 safeties. I think they're 6'1", 6'2", 6'3", 6'4". And really been a dominant group in the 2 games that they played so far. Obviously I haven't seen everybody, we haven't played everybody, but outside of Notre Dame, this will be the best defense for sure that we've played up to this point. I really felt like they dominated Oklahoma State watching that game. Oklahoma State's always in a very explosive offense, and I think they had about 284 yards. And really, I felt like Tulsa should have won the game. There were maybe 2 runs that they split in the second half that ended up being the difference. And then obviously we all understand how strong Central Florida's offense is. I think Tulsa turned the ball over the first 3 drives when they were on offense, and Central Florida was able to get 16 points in the first quarter. And then from that point on, Tulsa's defense held Central Florida's offense to 10 points the rest of the game. And I don't know when that's happened the last time. So I really felt like they dominated on defense. Their linebacker 23, Zaven Collins, 6'4", 260. I mean, he looks like an top NFL draft pick. He's had close to 200 tackles already in his career, a lot of experience. He's a guy that we have to know where he is at all times. Offensively, very impressed with their quarterback. I think he's a guy that's played for 4 years. I think he had close to 3,000 yards as the quarterback at Baylor his first 2 years, and then he's already had about 3,700 yards in a year and 2 games there in Tulsa, 44 touchdown passes. So just a lot of experience and talent. So I don't know what I expected when I turned on the tape, thinking I was watching a team that won 4 games last year, and maybe the best conference team we played to this point. So just, again, it's another opportunity for us to really improve where we are for the stage that we're in, and keep taking steps in the right direction. Each week is kind of a season of its own. Our goal is to go 1-0 this week and really focus on playing well. I thought we did a lot of good things last week versus Temple, and just had some costly mistakes that ended up being the difference in the game. But I know our guys will be excited playing on Friday night, national TV, ESPN. Great opportunity for exposure for our university and for our football program. So with that, I'll open it up for any questions.
Jeff, the offense, starting the second half against Cincinnati, things started to turn in a positive direction. He was able to get some points and some yards. I know you like to clean up the turnovers, but how do you feel overall about the momentum that's been built?
Yeah, I think the biggest negative in the last 2 games offensively has been the 4 fumbles. 3 last week, and then the one costly one against another one against East Carolina. Outside of those, we're definitely playing the best offense we have all year, and so that's encouraging. We want to continue to improve. Obviously, reality is not having spring practice. The first 3 or 4 games of the season are kind of we're all learning the players are learning the system. They're kind of knocking the rust off a little bit, and I'm optimistic by the way that we played offensively the last 2 weeks. Really the biggest negative is the 3 fumbles. I mean, and all 3 of those were preventable plays that cost us about 13 points in the game, and it would have been a really, really strong performance for our team if we would have held on the ball offensively. But overall, I do feel like we're making some really good strides on that side of the ball.
after that strip sack, we didn't see Jared Hoppel. Josh Mitchell came in, played the rest of that game. Have you found a new right tackle?
We've been last couple weeks. I think Hoppel has kind of bounced around between right tackle and even played some guard when we needed to. Blanchard's a guy that played early in the year when Donovan was out and did some good things, and then he struggled maybe against Cincinnati, so we went back with Hoppel, and their guys had a couple good one-on-one pass rush against him, and so we went ahead and put Blanchard in there, and he did a solid job. I think that's still probably on the offensive line, the right tackle position is probably still the one where we'll be watching that kind of game by game, quarter by quarter. But I really felt like the other four guys, right guard, center, left guard, left tackle, graded out pretty well the last 2 weeks. So that lends itself to some optimism.
Jeff, you talked about Dukes and his decision to stick around in the preseason. As a coach, how gratifying is it to see his stick-to-itiveness paying off?
There's no doubt. It was good to see him get rewarded. Sometimes guys are playing good ball, but maybe the ball doesn't find them for whatever reason. Maybe what the defense plays on that call, the ball has to go somewhere else. And so the thing I liked about his touchdown is he was physical off the line of scrimmage, and really go back to the Cincinnati game where we're not as physical off the line of scrimmage. We got pushed wide, led ourselves to an interception. So as a coach, especially in our first year, teaching and coaching and learning, you really like to see, guys correct mistakes from previous weeks. And I think that was a great example. And I think that'll continue to give himself some confidence. And it'll be important this week. I think both these corners are long guys. And they ran Oklahoma State's wideouts out of bounds half the day. And, they're only going to call holding one every, quarter probably. But they did a really good job. So that's going to be a big point of emphasis this week. Our wideouts are going to have to do a great job of using their hands and being physical because these guys, they grab you and just try to run you straight to the sideline.
Jeff, I assume Georgia will be the starting quarterback again. Do you think the offense benefited by having one guy playing all the way?
I think yes. Right. I do think there's a difference when you have one guy that's playing. But also, I think outside of the fumbles, I think Jordan has played well. So I think it's a combination of playing one guy and that person playing well. If they didn't play well, then you end up playing another guy. So that's why when you play multiple guys, you're not playing very good, right? It kind of goes hand in hand a little bit. But, that's what I talked to Jordan about after the game and this week. I said, man, your last two games, you've shown a lot of improvement. I mean, he's completing maybe 68% of his passes the last two games and really just doing a good job in the flow of the game. Last week, 95-yard drive for a touchdown, and then to me, the big drive was there at the end. I know we didn't get the 2-point play, but with the game on the line, down 8, to drive it, 70 yards to give yourself a chance to tie it. And on that series, there was 2 third downs that he really, was able to run and make plays. So, if he can control the ball security issue, I think he's just going to continue to get better, and as he does, I believe our offense will do as well.
Over the last 3 or 4 seasons, this program has had some troubles finishing games, and obviously you can't speak for the last regime, but is it kind of a culture thing? Is it something that you can draw back from Clemson, or?
Yeah, I think it's a ball security thing. And that was really why I wanted to show the video to the guys Sunday night, because I was so proud of our guys, how they played. I mean, we're 1-3 on the road, 13-point underdog, put everything into it all week long, and before we look up, it's 10-0. I mean, it's 8 minutes to go in the first quarter, right? I think if you pause that and you let that play a lot of different places, it's 45-3 at the end, right? And our guys continued to play all game long. And even after the 3 turnovers that really put us in a bad spot, the same team offense that put the ball on the ground 3 times went and drove it all the way down and gave us a chance. So the point I wanted to make to the guys, and I'm always honest with them, that's the best, the only way you're going to get things corrected. I'm like, hey guys, it really is as simple as holding on to the ball and finishing a couple tackles. I mean, the easy thing to do is say, oh, here we go again, and all that. But I really haven't seen that from our guys. I mean, that's a group that made a huge stride and continue. I was disappointed against East Carolina. We went down 24-7, and I felt like on the sidelines, kind of the guys stopped believing. And I made a big point of emphasis of that this week going into Temple, and I said, hey, I hope we're up 10 points or 14 points, but if something happens and we're not, I want to see improvement in that area. I want to see guys continue to believe and continue to play. And so we showed that, but at the end of the day, it really came down to 3 turnovers on offense. And sometimes you can turn the ball over at midfield, right, and they go 3 and out, punt it, and it didn't really cost you. But all 3 of those turnovers were costly. It was a minimum of 13 points difference in the game, and you lose by 2. And so I don't think that dropping the ball has anything to do with how we played the last 3 years. So to me, that's improvement. And if we can get those things corrected, then we got a chance to get over the hump.
How valuable would it be for this team to get to a bowl and get you the extra 2 weeks of practice looking ahead?
Yeah, I thought you were going to say to get a win. I mean, being honest, it's very valuable to get a win. Yeah, I mean, I'm so kind of locked into this week. I don't even know how many games we have left. We don't know FAU yet and all that, kind of where we are. But really what we need right now, we need to play well enough to earn a victory. And that's really the most valuable thing. And, it's a good lesson for me too, just how hard it is to win, right? And when you haven't done it, a lot in your recent past, then it's even harder to get over that kind of mental and physical hurdle to get it done. So, I really believe, and I know we got 3 or 4 of the best teams on our schedule coming up after the break. So I know what we have ahead of us, but for me, I just feel like we've been building the right way this season, that when we do get over the hump, I don't think that we're going to go back down and start over. I really think there's some solid foundation with the way these guys have continued to believe. It's uncommon the way that this group continues to believe despite a very ugly record. So, that gives me hope, not just for how we can finish this year, but that, big picture wise for the program, that we are making strides, even though we haven't been able to get the victories that we want.
How did Johnny Ford look at practice today?
He looked good. I made him go back and tape his ankle. He didn't have his ankle taped, so that tells you how he feels right now about himself. But yeah, he looks good. I mean, I'm just really, again, pleased with him. His overall, it's been a huge turnaround mentally and everything for him. So I'm really happy that he's made that decision, and I think that it's great to see. Here's what I'm trying to say. As a coach, when you try to lay it out to a young man that's talented, that, hey, if you will do the things that you need to do and live more disciplined, accountable life off the field, then it's going to carry over on the field. So that's what you're always preaching as a coach. And then when you actually see it happen and they see it happen, then they encourage themselves to continue to do it. And that's what I feel like. I don't have to really coach Johnny up on a lot of stuff off the field or whatever. Like, he's excited. Like, it's for the first time, I think he's bought in completely, and he's being rewarded for that success. So, he's a big part of our offense right now. So, we started him last week for the first time, and really felt like he kind of earned that by on the field and off the field for the first time.
Defensively last week, how big you got LaPointe back, Boyles back, key contributors, and even on special teams with Boyles. How big was that, and how nice was it to see them?
Yeah, it was great to have both of those guys back, and I think that when you're not as deep as you want to be, getting 1 or 2 of those key guys back, it feels like a normal year getting 4 or 5 guys back. I mean, that's really the difference that it felt like. And then what we have to also remember is it's their first time back in 3 or 4 weeks, right? And I kind of made that analogy. Early in the year, we were all talking about how many weeks do you need to get ready before you play a game, right? We were all talking 4 to 6 weeks. Well, literally, when these guys go, sit in their bed for 3 weeks and then they come back, we're all excited. We think they're going to be right back. So, they're having to kind of get back in shape and play in shape and all those things. But I think both those guys, it's great to have them back. Number one, LaPointe's just a guy that, just the ball, he finds the ball finds him. He just feels like he's gonna get an interception every single game. So some guys just have a knack for that. And then Boyles is like our quarterback on defense. I mean, he just gets everybody lined up. He just exudes confidence to the rest of those guys. So we're glad to have both of those guys back.
Coach?
All right, appreciate it.
Thank you.